Hey, this is Matt Cain with the San Francisco Giants, and you guys are listening to Torture Cast.
You're listening to a podcast by and for fans of the San Francisco Giants with hosts Willie Dills, Chad King, and Ben Lee.
Let's go Giants! Let's go Giants!
Dedicated to the greatest team in Major League Baseball history, the San Francisco Giants. This is Torture Cast.
Welcome, everybody, to the Torture Cast, the podcast by and for fans of the San Francisco Giants. My name is Willie Dills. This is episode number 80. I guess we'll call this the Jerry Rice episode. Let's just go with that. There's no more baseball players left, so we'll just say whatever number makes sense. We're going to run out. I guess we'll start with it. Yeah, we'll start with the Niners now. This is, of course, the podcast about the San Francisco Giants. We are back. Season's coming. So we're going to start ramping up these shows. I'm excited to be here with my co-hosts. Of course, we've got Chad King. What's up, dude?
Hey, man, Jerry Rice actually will work out just well for this because this is the first time we've done it since the AT&T Pro-Am. So we'll talk about that later.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we've actually got some Niners talk.
Yeah.
And, of course, we're also joined by Ben. What's up, dude? Welcome back to the show.
Glad to be here. Glad to be talking about Jerry Rice, I think.
He's a legend.
I'm not sure if that's what I signed on for, but I'm okay with it.
It's never a bad time to talk about Jerry Rice, right? This is an exciting time for San Francisco Giants and San Francisco Giants fans. Pitchers and catchers have officially reported to spring training, and along with that, a lot of the position players actually showed up. So it's kind of exciting. Like, it seems like the team is really pumped to be there and get ready for the season. We've actually had a chance to, not me personally, but you guys had a chance to talk to a lot of the players at Media Day. So, there's been some involvement with us and the team already. It's ramping up. We're ready for baseball to start again.
Uh-oh.
We got a little clip playing there. Oh, okay.
Nope, that was an accident.
So we're going to go just kind of through a bunch of the talking points about what's happened since the last episode, which I think was... It was right after the Super Bowl, right? That was the last time we actually recorded?
Yeah, I think so. It was about 3 weeks ago.
I recall I couldn't make it.
Yeah. Well, that was...
just not caring of the Super Bowl just bled into every other part of my life, obviously.
Super Bowl takes over, whether it's caring about it or not caring
or just not caring about it. Just rampantly not caring about the Super Bowl.
So before, should we talk about Media Day? Did we get a chance to talk about that at all in the last episode?
No, this happened after the last episode. In fact, we recorded on a Monday. We went the following Friday.
Yeah.
And now, in fairness, I think if people want a chance to check that out, they should definitely look at our YouTube channel and at our webpage where a lot of those videos are posted. So I don't know that there's that much more for us to add that wasn't already pretty awesome and recorded there.
Well, no,
people who haven't been there, we can talk about the experience and stuff like that.
I want to get your feelings and thoughts on the day and kind of, Ben, what was your favorite interview of the day? Oh, by the way, let's just go ahead and recap who we did get access to for the day. We did get a bit of Buster Posey, Matt Cain, Bumgarner, Ishikawa, Joe Panik, Brandon Crawford, McGahee, and Brandon Belt. So we got 8 guys. That was pretty good for a 2-hour stint, and it's really shorter than that because they kind of leave earlier. But
players come in and out. So
yeah, let's see. I mean, who was my favorite? Jeez. Ishikawa had some fun things to say. McGahee was all right. Chad's never going to let me live Bumgarner down for a million years.
Okay, I need to hear this story. What happened with Bumgarner?
All right. Let's just get into this. All right. So, for the audience, you can go check out our YouTube page and look up the Mad Bum interview. And I request that you forward the video. Well, actually, watch the whole thing. But when you get to 8 minutes and 10 seconds, you'll notice Bumgarner, right after I was talking to him, asked a question. He looks down to my left, so kind of his right. And that's where Ben was standing. And he looks down. He kind of nods his head a couple times, lifts his hand a little bit, kind of points, gets his attention. And then he smiles a little bit, and that's that shot that is in the notes right there, Willie. You can see him grinning.
Yeah.
He's grinning right at Ben right there.
Oh, you put it into the notes.
All right, so what was he pointing at? What was
that's
making
it.
him smile?
I quit. I'm not doing this podcast anymore. We're done. We're done.
His fly was down. And Bumgarner, the country boy, the nice guy, the polite guy that he is, was trying to be very subtle in indicating, hey, buddy, your barn door's open there.
It was the old XYZ.
And what's funny is that when Ben's asking him
MVP
questions,
XYZ though.
when Ben's asking questions prior to that point, I've now studied the video, a little Zapruder film analysis now, and you can see him look at Ben and look down, and look at Ben and look down.
So he noticed.
He noticed
He didn't have a chance to really point it out yet. Okay.
That was just one of the lighter moments of the day. It was just absolutely fantastic. We got a nice chuckle out of that.
If you're a ball player, like, is this anything weird to you? Like, they don't care. They walk around naked in front of each other all the time. They don't give a crap, right?
No, he was just trying to be polite. It was real nice of him.
That's awesome.
Still quitting.
Don't leave us, Ben. All right, well, Chad, who was your favorite interview of the day?
I kind of like talking to Joe Panic. I think, the first few interviews he was doing last year, he seemed real nervous and he's brand new to the spotlight and he didn't know how to handle it. I think, after being on center stage for so long for that month of October, I think he's kind of grooved into the role now. And so he's just seemed very intellectual and was answering our questions. He's a rookie or at least second year. So he doesn't think this is old hat. This is his first media day. So he seemed pretty eager to answer these questions. So we asked him obligatory ones about, the flip at second and all those things. But it was an interesting interview. I do agree. I think Ishii was good as well because he just seemed so humble and down to earth.
Well, he's had a big moment now since the last time we had a chance to ever, and we didn't get a chance to talk to him ever in our media days because he was not a Giant for the couple years that we were doing it. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I would imagine him being very relaxed in this year's interviews.
Yeah. Probably the funniest was Belt again because, you and I interviewed him a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And he was the same way, just very engaging. He wants to answer your questions. He's not just kind of rolling his eyes and like, oh, God. To be honest, that's Buster Posey. Buster Posey doesn't want to be doing this. I mean, he's just like, oh, shit.
I don't know. He seemed okay to me when I was there, 2 years ago or something.
Well, you also you asked him about Catch-A-Face. That was great.
But
Caught him off guard.
You know who strikes me as being like that every year is Tim Lincecum. I think Lincecum is sick of the media.
Lincecum's definitely a notch, but he takes the cake, I think, for the Giants in terms of what I've seen personally at that event.
He's kind of earned that just because he gets all kinds of crazy questions every year. But at the same time, he definitely just gets kind of over it.
Yeah.
I think Buster Posey is just more of he's just like a really calm, kind of quiet guy, and this is maybe just a little out of his comfort zone. He's probably getting more used to it, obviously, but it's just a little more out of his comfort zone than like he probably wants to just be on the field, just play the game.
No, Cain was good again. In fact, he recognized Ben and I, so that was kind of cool.
Nice
when we went up.
Mostly Chad.
And
well, yeah, he did spend some time with you, Chad. So
I was going to say, if by recognize Ben and Chad, you mean recognize Chad, nailed it.
But it was actually interesting to talk to him about his bone spurs in his elbow. Uh-huh. And again, you can check the video, but I was kind of asking him, was it floating around? What did it feel like? Did it hurt? Was it just impinging? And he just described it as something, just a loose object that floats around and sometimes gets stuck. And that would inhibit his full range of motion and extension. And of course, by translation, would also affect velocity, snap on his curve. And then he said consistency was the first thing that went. He couldn't hit the same spots all the time. And the analogy he had was like a door that doesn't quite fully close or open. It's got like a doorstop in the hinge that kind of comes in and out. So he just can't reliably hit the same spot because his arm isn't hitting the same extension every time. So, and I asked him, well, how does it feel now? And he's like, oh my God, it's night and day. He says he feels 18 again. And not his number. I mean,
Did you ask him at all about if there was any thought of doing this earlier? Like, if because it sounds like he's been kind of experiencing this for a while, but I haven't seen anything about if he regrets that he didn't make this move earlier in his career.
No, I heard a couple guys ask him after we had were packing up and leaving, and they actually did ask him that, like, why didn't you get this done earlier? And it was just something that he's kind of dealt with the last couple of years, and he thought he could work through it. It finally got to a point where it was like, look, let's just shut it down, and so I can be ready for next season, so I don't have to start the season with DL. So
it seems to me like if you're a major league pitcher too, and you're trying to just win, you want to put things like this off until it actually starts affecting your performance, which it clearly didn't until last season.
Yeah,
right.
Then you kind of just deal with it. I'm actually curious too. Did you guys talk to him at all? Because I haven't watched all of them. I've watched some of your guys' interviews, but I didn't see Cain's. Did you talk to him at all about what it felt like being on the sidelines for last year's World Series run?
No, I didn't ask him that at all. But
man, I wish I was there. So people, if wondering why was Willie absent from this? Well, it was my birthday weekend. I'd already made plans before I knew the date of this. I would have totally not gone away on a trip, but already made plans to go to Healdsburg and hang out in Sonoma County and drink wine and stuff. So couldn't make it. Super bummed. Didn't get to go to media day.
Totally missing out.
Yeah, I did have fun, but
no, yeah.
But yeah, I would have loved to have gone to media day and of course Fan Fest as well the next day. Did either of you guys go to Fan Fest?
No, could not make it, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, if you went to media day, it seems a little bit weird to then also go to Fan Fest unless you're like getting paid to be there or something. You know,
I mean, I've gone.
That's
one
a rough
time.
day.
I've gone one time.
I had to get someone to cover a shift just to get to media day. It was like, nope, I can't pull that trick twice.
Yeah. I mean, Fan Fest is incredibly fun if you just go and just kind of relax and hang out and just have a couple beers and think about how baseball is coming back soon and kind of bask in the glow. But it's also so friggin' crowded, especially after the Giants win it all, that it's weird to say that, by the way, especially after the Giants win it all. Like that's old hat for us now.
Since we have a fair amount of
other year. God damn it.
in this area.
Wish they'd stop winning so FanFest wouldn't be so crowded.
Yeah, so I could go back to FanFest and hang out. Actually get an autograph. So that's cool. I mean, it sounds like you guys got a lot of work done that day and had a good time. And looking forward to the season. We are going to be doing more press box appearances and stuff too. So the Giants are still being really cool to us and everything. And you just love this organization, man, inside and out. It's like always a fan of an organization. Then you actually start like working within the kind of framework of it and find out that it's even better than you thought. It's cool stuff.
It is.
All right, so spring training, we mentioned it has started. I believe tomorrow is the first official day of full squad workout. And Chad, you were saying only Angel Pagan and Joaquin Arias are not there yet?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I want to dispel the thought, which I think I would have as a fan who didn't think it out and just thought about, just had an emotional reaction, that Pagan doesn't seem to be there right now, right? Like he gets hurt and then he just like not in the dugout, just gone. Whereas like Cain, I saw all the time in the dugout, you know. But I think the guy just, you know, he has family that's not in the States, and when it's like, I'm not going to be able to play baseball, you kind of want to be around your family a little bit more. So I think really like those are the reasons these guys aren't there. Hunter Pence, on the other hand, can't wait to get back to anything resembling a baseball
there,
field.
like 2 days before any pitchers or catchers.
Yeah. He's just like sitting on the steps out front, just throwing a ball into his glove over and over and over again.
Like that old J.C. Penney, like
Hearthstone
open.
Oh yeah, playing Hearthstone on an iPad for sure. Still trying to get actually in contact with him about some Hearthstone stuff, but we'll see. I don't think he's actually playing much of that anymore. So it's exciting for Giants fans to think about the fact that you know, the squad's there and we're getting close. And I believe the first actual game is the 3rd of March, correct? Do you guys know?
Yeah, apparently. Well, actually, you know, I take that back. I know that's the first KMBR broad I might have a split
like
squad or
split
something.
squad. Yeah.
Which
the day before
doesn't always show up on the schedule either,
Yeah, exactly.
They do have it on. Okay, I opened up the thing. They do have a couple of split squad games kind of mentioned here. So, like, Sunday, you got the D-backs and the D-backs.
There you
It
go.
says split squad. But, yeah, there's obviously more baseball activity before that. But, yeah, first kind of game that we can all watch and get super excited about, Tuesday the 3rd at 12:05 Pacific time. So, mark it on your calendars. Mark it on the calendars. All right, let's get to the first big piece of news that's coming out of spring right now. And if you listen to the show, you know that we like to talk about that Tim Lincecum fella.
Gosh, we sure do, fellas.
Yep. He pretty much comes up every
borderline
episode.
lincecum length at this point. I have been completely lazy in cutting it, and it's almost down to the shoulder.
Nice, dude. I'm growing mine out too. Not in lincecum style. I'm going more for a Michael Morse type of thing. But so Tim Lincecum apparently had not been listening to his dad over the last several years, and if that's the case, his dad seems to know a whole lot about pitching because anybody who knows the story
about Lincecum pitching.
Yeah, Lincecum pitching, sure. More specifically. But, Timmy came up with his dad kind of being his personal pitching coach. If you guys don't know the story about this, they're very close, and his dad, like all through Little League, high school ball, all that kind of stuff, was kind of his pitching guru, and they developed the crazy delivery together, and, all the things about Lincecum's distinct style kind of come from those two working together. And obviously we all know the story, too, that he started off, won a couple of Cy Young Awards, and was basically the best pitcher in baseball, and has dropped off significantly over the last few years. And last year, actually, I think it was, 3 years in a row, pushing 5 ERA?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a significant amount of time. And now we find out that for the past 3 years, it sounds like he wasn't working with his dad anymore. So now things are starting to make sense. So, like, Ben, what's your take on this? Like, what do you have any idea? Like, I haven't seen anything about what may have caused this. Was it a falling out? Do you know? I haven't heard anything about that.
I feel like I read something about it a while back. I don't know if it was quite a falling out per se. It definitely sounded like they just kind of grown distant, though. Mm-hmm. And I think for Tim, on some level, it was just sort of a like, look, I'm sorry, but I need your help, and it's not, this isn't working and not the way it used to. And I thought I knew better than you did, and you haven't been around because you live in Seattle, and so you can't always be here. And I think that it was a distance thing more than anything else. And Tim kind of rolled out of college, rolled into baseball, kept going on there. It's like he hasn't really. He's been doing his growing up while going through the major leagues, which is kind of a rough spot to put anybody in. So I don't know that I don't really think I've gotten to read the whole story. I know that a couple of the beat writers have touched on it because, anytime Lincecum and his dad become news, then their relationship does. And that's something that Tim has sort of said. He spent the entire offseason pretty much just working with his dad on fine-tuning his delivery.
Yeah. It's exciting news, I think, for Giants fans. And, what's your take on the whole situation, Chad? Do you have any insight as well to this?
First of all, I'm kind of excited about it because there could be a correlation here. Apparently, he really did stop working with his dad for the last 3 years, and three of his poorest years of his career. I guess 2 weeks after the World Series, he went straight to his dad and basically said, They had an analogy here talking about how it's like having a bad report card, going back to your dad, going, I tried to do it on my own, but I need your help. And so he went back to his dad, and they through the entire offseason, he did a total of 50 sessions for the offseason with his dad, and he said he's never done anything like that before for the offseason. I was very rigorous and all those things. His dad has now accompanied him to spring training and is going to be there the entire month to kind of escort him into the regular season. And, I don't know what happened to them, but a couple of these articles talk about how they rebonded emotionally, that they had grown distant and they weren't really close over the last 3 years. And that's about it. So it doesn't sound like they had any animosity or anything like that, but maybe it was something like where Tim thought, hey, look, I know what I'm doing now. And maybe, he's realizing that was a mistake. He went back to his dad. And if those things are correlated, well, maybe he's going to have a much better year this year. And that's just nothing but good news for the Giants. So,
oh, absolutely. I mean, I think that the Giants come into the 2015 season with the biggest question mark being the starting pitching, which is, an interesting – it's an interesting spot for the Giants because that's kind of been their strongest, suit for a long time, right? But when you look at what's going on this season, you got Bumgarner, who pitched more innings than he's ever pitched in any and historically, no matter how much of a horse the guy is, when a guy has pitched as many, I think it's like 270 something like that innings. Mm-hmm. When you talk about the season and the postseason, guys who have pitched that much tend to fall off after that. Whether Bumgarner proves that wrong, I mean, I think all Giants fans have every confidence in the guy, but we talk like Cain was that guy, right? Lincecum's been that guy before, and both of those guys have struggled in the seasons after they were the guy who kind of took the team on their shoulders. Now Bumgarner's kind of moved into that role. So then you got Cain obviously coming back from being out and being hurt, and then you got a couple of older starters, who knows, what they really have left right now. I'm talking about Hudson and why am I blanking? Hudson and the other 33-year-old. We were just talking about this.
Peavy.
Thank you very much. All right. Yeah. We were just talking about Sheilds, and I'm like, keep thinking of his name. Yeah. And then, of course, now you've got the 5 spot, which has to be for Lincecum, the lowest point of his career. Now, he's the number 5 starter. Right behind him is Vogelsong and Petit, right? So, those are the guys who are hot on his heels, whereas before it was Cain hot on his heels to take the opening day start and things like that. So he has definitely now reached essentially the lowest point of his career. And he's moving into another contract year. So I think if it's ever time to swallow your pride and try to do the things that got you there in the first place, this is the year to do it. And it's really nice to hear that he actually did make that step. I mean, he could continue on the downturn, and we might never hear from him again. He could become, Barry Zito level depths if he doesn't do something about this. So it's really nice to hear that something like that is actually happening, and makes me very excited, just as a Giants fan. All right, time to talk Pablo. Poor Pablo. You left a town where you're a goddamn superhero, and you went to Boston, where there ain't no superheroes except Babe Ruth, who's like a super villain now. I guess you could say
not really going to work in Boston.
You could say Big Papi's a superhero. Always has been. There.
I don't know.
Sure,
Carl Yastrzemski, those guys.
Yastrzemski, yeah.
That's all I got.
But that Boston's not a forgiving town in the same way that San Francisco is, I think. And Pablo's now going to have to deal with that because he's a guy with a fairly big contract who now showed up to spring training with something that we're used to seeing. We're used to seeing this here in San Francisco, which is Pablo shows up a little overweight, and we talk about it, but at the end, we all
fat chat. Move on.
We all kind of forget about it eventually, and we just start then he starts raking, and we go, "Cool, Pablo." I don't think he's going to get that luxury there,
but still,
yeah. Sometimes it takes a while, but he's not going to get that luxury there. And this looks. I don't know. Like, Chad, does this look worse than it's ever been?
Who knows?
He looks fatter to me.
Who knows what his real weight is? He looks a little fatter to me. Now, by the way, they asked Pablo about it, and he said, quote, "It's a bad angle." I'm not kidding you. He actually said that. But he also said, "Hey, look, this is the way I've always been. I'm going to prove my worth," and all those. And we know this, but we've talked about it before in the show, and it's just interesting to see what Boston's going to do as far as their fans. If he has another slow start and he's hitting a $180 in June,
he's going to get booed, man,
like he was last year before he turned it on.
Yep. I'm assuming panic. I figure that's what they'll do. It's just completely just melt down and freak out.
Oh yeah, they'll just melt down. We just sip our wine and eat our cheese, and I apparently don't care. But
and wear our panda hats.
And wear our panda hats and turn
and cheer for him every time he comes to the plate.
It's okay though, because Pablo can go ahead and stay over there and do his best anyway, and cry into the 8% less sales income tax he's going to be paying. So I mean,
that's a good point. Yeah. I mean, it's a good financial move for Pablo because you think the Giants would have had to offer him $15 million more or something for it to be the same amount of money he gets.
Offset the actual, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he also didn't even entertain the Giants.
No, he was never going to be coming back. Yeah,
which was actually higher than Boston's offer, but didn't matter. Like you said, it would have to be so much higher for him to even consider it. So
so
it would also have to be so much higher for the tax to add up. But I agreed. I mean, it really wasn't just. It was. He had decided it was time, and perhaps the Giants, in some level, but had to make the effort. But if
I hope he doesn't regret this. That's all.
I want to see him do well. It's a shame. I was hoping he was going to come into camp at least a little bit lighter, so they weren't going to dump on him. But man, Twitter was effing mean.
Oh, I know. And David Letterman
he dedicated a whole top
10 list to Pablo Sandoval.
Oh my God, that was bad.
Well, he's on the East Coast now, man. They actually pay attention to you over there before you actually win the whole thing. Yep. Apparently, with San Francisco, I was
going to say the rest of the nation actually pays attention to you over there. Is the problem?
Yeah. So I'm rooting for the guy. I think though, if he was
No, on Yankees and Red Sox tonight. Sorry, baseball tonight. Sorry, got it wrong.
If he was like, I mean, if I was someone in Pablo's camp, I would tell Pablo, this is the one season to show up slimmer than you've ever showed up to camp, because you're in a new city, you have a reputation, and you're starting with a big contract in a brand new city under a much bigger microscope. If there's ever a time to just work your butt off in the off season, this is the one time. You can relax next year after you hit 340 for the season and bomb 40 home runs over that short ass.
Let me ask you a question, Willie. I mean, obviously, performance hasn't been an issue with his weight, and maybe that's his final answer. It's like, look, it doesn't matter. I hit.
Yeah, he's like, this is what I look like. Yeah.
But that being said, if you were paid $95 million, look, it's hard enough for all of us to lose weight, and we're not paid to lose weight. You're getting paid $95 million. I think one thing I might actually do is hire a personal trainer and chef, and just make it easy, and just come into camp without no questions, no microscope, and just
every day I eat what they cook me, and then all I do all day is I go to the gym, and then I hang out.
Yeah.
Because I don't have to go to work 9 to 5.
That's right.
What I mean?
You have time to do that shit, and you have the money to pay the people to help you do that shit.
Yeah.
You can even take a vacation in between. You'll still have like 3 months of just getting shit done.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can take. I mean, Hunter Pence clearly took a long time off. There was photos of him, on vacation with his girlfriend and stuff.
Everywhere.
And he's hanging out. He's streaming. He's doing all this stuff. But that guy is in shape, man.
It's
like
ridiculous.
When he comes to camp, he's in shape. He never is out of shape. So,
the man is called full throttle.
Yeah,
all the time.
Yeah, he does everything to the maximum.
Yeah, we missed him again. Ugh.
So we talked about. Oh, you guys not get Pence?
Full throttle. That's true.
Yeah, nope. He's in and out.
God, he's like a ghost.
Pretty much.
Swear to God.
Pence shows and then Pence goes.
If we can get actual clubhouse access more often this season, we'll finally get a good chance to talk to him. I'm sure. So Matt Cain is apparently now throwing full and free and feels good. We talked a little bit about it, but it's actually become kind of a story now that Cain and Hudson are both feeling better than they have in a long time, and that's really, really good news. And I'm actually, you can say all you want about how when a World Series team comes off of a World Series run, their pitchers generally are tired the next season, right? This might actually just be a blessing in disguise that we were able to find a way to win the World Series without our top pitcher, essentially. And now he gets to have a full year of rest and come back. And this is the first time Cain's ever had that. So I'm looking forward to, he could just be lights out Cain again, and I would not doubt that one bit. I mean, Cain is still young. He's kind of in the prime age, I would say. And, obviously Hudson at 39, this will be his final year, kind of regardless of what happens. But, these two guys, I feel like they excite me a little bit with the potential that I think we can have with a starting lineup. And I said that's the biggest question mark. But, like Chad, what are you expecting from Cain? What would be, the numbers where you would say that's what I think Cain will give us this year?
Again, barring another injury, let's just assume that no more bone chips. He's not going to get hit in the head with a baseball or any of those kinds of crazy things. There's no reason I can't believe he's not going to get a sub-3 ERA. And I know that sounds crazy. I think most people would be like, what are you talking about? But those bone chips that he's been playing with for years, which have only gotten worse recently, he's been playing with that for years, even during his good seasons. They're gone. And he says it feels free and clear. He has not lost any velocity. In fact, they're saying he's popping the ball real well in spring training, and they've accelerated his program faster than they would have thought. The reporters were all impressed the first day they saw him throw a side session. They were like, wow, he's looking like the Cain of old. So, I mean, all signs are pointing to him. As long as he has that command like he has had in the past, which was lost because of those bone chips, as he explained to us, I don't see why he can't just be old Matt Cain. I mean, why not?
Sure.
And he's had all that rest, like you said. And he even said that since he had so much extra rehab, his shoulder's actually stronger than it's ever been. So it's like, all right, well, let's do this.
There's a certain level of I'll believe it when I see it, but it's nice when the beat writers have said, well, we saw it. Mm-hmm. And it's looking pretty good.
It's looking pretty good.
It's kind of like, all right, well, who am I to argue with the ones that watch him all the time, frankly?
I'm excited about Cain because the procedure was not Tommy John surgery or anything like that. It was not that invasive, but no structural repair or anything like that. They just took bone chips out. So I'm excited. I think he's going to have a good year.
Yeah, bone chips is definitely a much more minor thing, but can be pretty serious when you're actually trying to pitch with them. But again, like you said, not Tommy John. This isn't.
It's not
we're
talking
about
regrafting ligaments and stuff.
Yeah, we're not taking stuff out of dead people and like none of that is happening. And look at Brian Wilson, who's like completely gone now, just done as a pitcher essentially because of double Tommy John. That's a serious deal, and this is not what happened. So this is a very manageable situation for a guy who was already really good with the bone chips. Now we get to see him without them. So. Yeah. Really, really exciting stuff. All right, let's talk about Bruce Bochy. I was, for one, incredibly concerned for a moment, but Bruce Bochy had essentially like a heart scare, and I'm still not 100% sure exactly what happened because they're not being.
They're not saying everything, but they did say he was complaining of chest discomfort during a physical.
And he actually did have a minor procedure, apparently.
He had a couple of stents put in.
Yeah. And did you hear that was his third stent in the last 5 years?
No, I did not hear that. That's bad. But he says he feels good now.
No, I
couldn't help you guys. Sorry.
I'm really upset about this.
I mean, he says he feels good. That's nice, but that's a little bit scary. And he's the key, man. He's you're talking about the key to the Giants winning everything.
It was really cool to see Twitter just explode with love and care and get well wishes and all that stuff because we all value this guy more, I think, than any player. I think he contributes more to the Giants' success than any other manager in baseball.
Well, you watch what the Giants have had to do, which is essentially plug in players constantly for injured players and still manage to pull out World Series championships, and he's the guy who orchestrates all of that happening. So get well, Bochy. I don't want to delve too deep into it. It's going to depress me, but you got to at least bring it up.
No,
I mean, in fairness, Bochy, since the procedure has been said, he came out and he said, I feel so much better. Because, he had a 90% blockage on a couple of arteries. And he comes out of that procedure and goes, I feel like I can climb Camelback. Thankfully, he didn't.
Yeah, he says he has another 200,000 miles in this old truck.
All right. Well, maybe it's time to maybe cut back on the steaks and the wine and cigars with the GM after games.
Though it's good because all the coaches, just like the players, have physicals at the beginning of spring training, and so maybe it was just timed well. They discovered it because he did have discomfort that day, and they're like, oh well, we should check this out. And they rushed him over to, right across the street, of course, is where the hospital is. I think you guys have been there before. And they, scanned him and went, oh, my God, these things are like ready to stop pumping blood here, all the blockage. So 2 quick stents. He's out of the hospital in 2-3 days. He's back on the field. So it's great to hear. Sounds like he's going to be fine.
Well, I hope so. We all hope so here. All right. We'll talk about Big Game James here. Medium game James, as he became known in the playoffs last season. So James Sheilds reportedly received a larger offer than he actually ended up taking. Anybody who doesn't know, he ended up signing with the San Diego Padres, who the Padres actually look to be potentially like the new big three here in the West with the Dodgers, Padres, and Giants. They put a lot of work into their team in the offseason.
So what is the sound of the D-backs crying quietly?
Yeah, the D-backs and the Rockies are just going, well, we play baseball too.
The Rockies have moved right into just like learned helplessness.
Yeah,
but
we'll wait to get a number 1 pick in the offseason. Sheilds has signed with the Padres, but apparently the Giants had offered more, but he maybe overplayed his hand. And PV became available to us. I think we all assumed that PV was going to the Red Sox again or something like that. Or somewhere. Because I know there had been talk that he wanted to go play for a team with a couple of specific pitchers. And that didn't end up panning out. And once PV came back, it was like, all right, well, we don't need Sheilds anymore. Which obviously we don't. We'd be way backed up with all of these guys.
Oh, yeah.
We're already a little bit backed up with Vogelsong, Petit, but... are you guys, Ben, are you at all concerned that we didn't pick this guy up and San Diego did? How do you feel about James Sheilds?
I mean, the level of concern, PV wasn't a bad pickup considering that how much money we were prepared to throw at Sheilds. Would we have hit the luxury tax limit? I don't know, probably not yet. But, don't get me wrong. James Shields is good. I respect James Shields as a pitcher quite a bit. The fact that he didn't necessarily big game us during the World Series, it makes for a lot of really good jokes, but it doesn't really count against James Shields' body work as a pitcher, especially when he really kind of figured out what he was doing and picked it up with the Rays. Shields would have been a far better pickup. Lester would have been probably one of the best pickups. Shields would have been right behind him. PV is really, like, if you were looking at like dream pitchers for the offseason, you aren't going to look at, Jake Peavy and go, and that's the one we got our sights set on. But he did good work for us, and especially once we had sort of an inkling, Lester was out, and Shields really just didn't have his heart set on San Francisco even remotely. It was sort of like, look, Jake Peavy not only did decently well here, did well here with the larger park, outside of the playoffs, did quite well, frankly, turned his career around a little bit, and likes it here. And in the end, you look at the guys that they try to bring in. He's got Bochy here. I mean, he's got Bochy. He's got Flan here too. Flan's going to be around, possibly working with CSN. Sounds like. And PV has obviously developed connections with a bunch of these guys this year, and the media loves his kid. Never hurts.
Yeah,
but it's just like he's got a bunch of people around him that work well with him, and you start looking at some of those other guys, and you go, Lester probably would have fit. Shields probably would have fit. Lester might even have kind of wanted to come here. Shields probably didn't. And the thing is, you look at these guys, and we talk about, it goes back to what Michael Morse kind of said before when we were interviewing him last year. He said, these guys really pay a lot of attention, really kind of figure out who's going to fit into this clubhouse. And, Morse said he came in, he never felt out of place one day. And I think that PV really, I think, has a similar opinion. And I think the Giants probably have kind of a similar opinion about PV.
Yeah, that's a good point. That maybe Shields just doesn't quite fit into the type of player that we generally have. A little bit more on the serious side.
Shields right now maybe didn't too. I think that Shields probably, if circumstances were different, and if he felt he had wanted to come, I think it probably would have worked out okay. You certainly don't have any one type of personality on this team as it is. If you look at guys like Tim versus Santiago Casilla versus Hunter Pence versus, they're all completely different. They just work really well together, but they all want to be there.
Yeah,
and I think that's the thing that you have to look at too.
I think the interesting thing about this though is that James Shields would have probably done extremely well in the second and third starter spot because you don't expect as much out of those guys, and that would have been his role there. I think being the ace of the Royals probably had a little bit to do with him. There's a little more pressure on the guy when it came to he had to match up with the best guy on the other team in the playoffs every time. And he was able to pull that off with pretty mediocre games until he came up against the Giants. So then it didn't work anymore when the other guy was Madison Bumgarner. But, he would have worked out okay in that role. But essentially we're paying less than half, I guess you could, about half, right? We're paying about half for half the years with PV, which gives us a little more flexibility in a couple of years. Whereas with Shields, we would have had to
up to paying half. I mean,
well, it's
$24 million.
If you think about it per year,
okay, in the per year category,
the per year category, you're paying about half, and it's for half the years. So it's a quarter of the actual total contract essentially. But we would have been kind of stuck with the guy if he had been struggling after 2 years. Whereas PV, he struggles after 2 years, we move on. And
you look at it. What's the last time the Giants did a more than 2 year contract on a free agent from outside that we didn't trade for or play here first?
It's been a while, man. It has been a while. Yeah, we pick up guys for a year here and there. And
is it none other than Aaron Ryan Rowan? I think
Barry Zito and Rowan. I think are the last
Barry
two.
Barry Zito and then Aaron Ryan Rowan.
Right?
Yeah, no, didn't work out so well.
Those did not work out. I think that maybe they're a little gun shy on those big giant contracts now.
Could be. I mean, I feel the feeling that now that the team's really got 3 and 5 is going to give you a bit more money, and I think they're not as gun shy now because they can afford to go big on one person. It's just that also has to fit, and the guy has to want to be here, and I think that it's.
No, there's more to it. You're right. Yeah.
Did I lose you guys?
Nope.
No, we got you. But yeah, though, there's more to it than just his numbers versus his numbers. And all that
but I agree with you, Willie. I think he may have overplayed his hand because back early in the winter, he apparently, and this is an unsubstantiated rumor, he turned down a $110 million 5-year contract, and then he turned down the $80 million 4-year offer from the Giants, and then once they signed Peavy, they took their offer off the table, and then eventually, a few weeks later, he signed with San Diego, which is his hometown. He loves the West Coast, and so maybe he always wanted to go there. But at the same time, I think he was kind of holding out for that bigger offer, and it just never came. I mean, $20 million a year is nothing to shake a stick at, but maybe him and his agent were, shooting for 23, 24, 25, Lester money or something, and they just didn't get it, nor should he have, I don't think. But it was funny because Ben, I know
go.
Ben.
Sorry,
and
headset died there for a second.
Oh, no problem. So Ben, you and other Giants fans are probably going to slap me and Willie across the face, but for some reason, I knew Sheilds was 33. And I was thinking, 4 years, he's going to be 37. I was like, well, God, PB's already 36 or 37, so maybe this is a good thing. And I was like, well, I should look that up. And I looked it up. James Sheilds is only 7 months younger than Jake Peavy.
Yeah, Peavy's 33 as well.
He's 33 as well. He just doesn't look it.
Weird. He just has that old man carry to him. He's just like, yep. Well,
he looks like a guy who's been around,
It's just crazy.
He's a fellow what's been places.
Yeah, he carries himself that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think all in all, I'm happy with how that particular deal worked out. If we look at the entire offseason, we could probably say that the Giants had a less than stellar offseason compared to some other teams. But when you're the champs, do you have to have the stellar offseason, or can you be a little less than stellar and still get away with it, right?
Right. It's something in between. I think the Giants offseason was disappointing. I don't think that it was a failure.
No, I would never put it in the... No. Yeah, because you lose Pablo, but you get... Like, in a lot of ways, like, the guys that we did pick up as far as position players, I think really kind of benefit our style of offense, because getting guys on and get them on, get them over, get them in is the way you should play ball here.
That's like the definition of McGahee and Aoki. Is just get them on, get them over, get them in. I mean, that's what they do.
They're going to give us that, and so we didn't lose that. We lost the pop, but we didn't lose. Essentially the best way to score in this ballpark. And
I mean, McGahee's been more of a line-to-line hitter, and I mean, Aoki has never really been a pop hitter, and you don't expect that from him either. But you get a guy who's a decent leadoff, and that's something that if Pagan gets hurt, we just haven't had that.
We struggled with that for a long time until finally Blanco found something and was able to, and even then in the playoffs, in the playoffs he was essentially awful in the leadoff role for most of it.
He was really great for his defense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so next thing that we got to talk about is the Yohan Moncada, who ended up going to the Red Sox. And I'd heard tell that the Giants were interested in this kid. He's 19 years old. If anybody's not familiar, he's a 19-year-old Cuban guy. Essentially a 5-tool talent, like
really just hailed as the next insert previous Cuban outfielder's name here.
Pretty much.
Yeah, it's like I think, but okay, a couple things that I want to say about this.
Breeding baseball players down there.
Yeah, well, there's a few things that are weird about this. First of all, I feel like because the Cubans, the political situation means the Cuban guys aren't like in the draft, right? So.
Well, and the political situation has improved enough that they just have to get approved. Like, he didn't have to defect per se, which has been kind of a weird.
But what I'm saying is, like a talent like this who comes out of the draft doesn't cost $31 million. Like,
right.
It's like $7 or $8 million that they get, But when they come from Cuba, it's like I feel like the money has just continued to increase and increase and increase, and guys like Puig come in, and it's like, oh, this is worth it because look what he does, and. So these teams are more willing to take a chance. I feel like if things go the way they've been going with Cuba, in 2 or 3 years, these guys are going to be getting $7 million as well. Like I think this is going to cool off at some point. This seems like it's kind of like getting a little out of hand. But anyway, and I think that might be a big reason why the Giants kind of turned this down, because they could absolutely afford to pay the kid $31 million. They could absolutely afford to do that. The Giants have that kind of money. But here's the deal. He's not ready for the big leagues. He's going to have to go down to the minors for a while. Maybe he has a, rocket trajectory through the minor leagues and comes up in half a year or something like that. Or maybe it's 2 years. Then you have to re-sign him again at some point, which will probably be a massive contract at some point in a few years.
Sure.
I think the Giants look at all these things.
I mean, look at Jorge Soler right now. I mean, that's almost exactly what happened with Jorge Soler. He got signed and then brought up pretty quickly, and he's probably going to command a ton of money.
Yeah. And then what happens is you essentially groom him for the Yankees or something, right? Like, or groom him for the Dodgers, I guess I should say now.
Right.
Like the times are different, but it's like I think the Giants look at that. They look at that trajectory and that path and the way things are probably going to go, and he'll give us an amazing couple of years probably, and then we can't afford him. And they just say, you know what? We'll save the $30 million now.
Well,
essentially $60 million because you have to pay some crazy.
They have the luxury or the what is it called? The minor league or
there's some sort of penalty essentially that you have to pay.
Yeah, it's a tax for exceeding their allotment for international bonus money. That's what it is. Yeah, so they owe $63 million. So it's
who the hell do they
$31.5.
pay that to? They pay that to the MLB?
Major League Baseball.
Jesus Christ! How can you get it? This is it's highway robbery.
$63 million to a 19-year-old who actually has not even played baseball since December of 2013. It's crazy. I just don't get it.
I don't. Humans, man.
All right, but are you guys upset that we didn't make a play for this guy?
No, not for that much. No,
I'm not going to be broken up over it.
Ask me in 3 years when he's like,
right.
yeah, the Triple Crown
There
winner.
you
You're
go.
like, crap.
Yeah. Now, I mean, we have a couple of international signings of our own who have made a little bit of noise in the minors. So, I mean, we'll kind of see how some of that plays out. But yeah, I don't know. If there's the chance that he turns out like Jorge Soler, in which case I'm like, all right, pretty glad that worked out. And there's the chance that he turns out like, well, Angel Villalona. So you never really quite know.
Yeah.
Have we talked about how we have a different commissioner now? We talked about this on the show.
No,
I haven't had to.
No. But he had that initial stir because he was talking about
A shorter season.
that, but also making defensive shifts illegal.
What?
That got
How
mentioned
can you
briefly.
even do that?
Well, that was
like,
what a
you
lot
know
of people
what?
said.
Here's the thing.
Yeah,
you know
how
what?
are you
Actually,
players are like, what are you going to do? Draw lines on the field? Like, you can't
Yeah.
go here, second baseman. You can't go here, shortstop.
that's insane. That's
You can't
just
do that.
insanity. No, there's no way.
He quickly
I
dropped
mean,
it. He knew that
in
was
the
not gonna
NBA,
happen.
you could
Yeah.
do something like the zone defense is illegal or something like that.
That'd still be kind of weird because it's like, no, you cannot walk onto the. You can't. This part of the court, you can't. If you don't
why?
pick a dude,
Because
you got to pick a dude, and you stick with that dude, or so help me.
that's how it was for so long, man.
Oh.
It makes no sense to me.
That does remind me, though, they did approve the pace of game changes. Did you guys read about that?
Oh yeah, so no stepping out of the
bit.
box. And
So
stuff.
no stepping out of the box. I think that's really interesting because there are quite a few players out there who love their little,
Pablo's one of
routine.
them.
Yeah, routine of going out of the box, readjusting their batting gloves, kicking their bat, doing whatever, adjusting their helmet, and then walking back in. They can't do that anymore. They have to have 1 foot in the batter's box the entire time.
Yeah,
That's
going to be interesting.
That's crazy. They
It
think
is.
it's going to
It's
shave
gonna
off
be
an
routine.
average of 5 minutes per game. 5 minutes?
To
Who
me,
cares?
5 minutes doesn't mean anything.
No,
I
like if
don't
we
care.
were, it's hard to. I don't know. I guess you have to start somewhere. They're also going to, I think, put a timer on pitching changes. Is that right?
Yeah, I believe you have a shorter amount of time for when you. Yeah,
Like coming
essentially
into
there's
more pitches.
there's like 5 or 6 small changes.
Yeah, I assume some things will stay the same. I'm curious to see if things like if a pitcher gets injured and you're putting somebody in for an injured pitcher, then you get as much warm up time as you want. I'm curious if they'll change that because it risks injuring relievers otherwise.
I don't think they would change
Well,
that. But
I think
Yeah.
that probably stays the same because of the spirit of why it happens. But
yeah.
Yeah.
You have to warm a guy up. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to let it
you
go.
got to let a guy warm up.
I don't like it. I don't like the changes
I don't like it
because
either.
I don't mind a game going. I mean, National League, of course, is faster than American League anyway.
But see, we're baseball fans. That's the thing. They're trying everything they can to make more people watch baseball at this point. And we're fans of baseball already.
I want the batters to do what they do. I want them to have
Yeah.
their little things and the routines. I don't know.
I think there's a certain handful of guys who go a little too far, but the umpire could really just stand there and say, like, get in the box, man. Get
you
in
don't
the
think
box.
they would ever put in that pitch clock that they had in the Arizona League?
That's
this
what
year?
they tried out. That's what they're actually considering. I can't ever see that actually
Could you
being
imagine that?
Because, sometimes, you
A
shake up
freaking
the
shot.
sign. you
It's
do
like a
some-
shot clock in a stadium.
Yeah.
That's insane.
And what if it's like clicking down and suddenly you rush the delivery and everything? You quick pitch a guy because you just try and I don't know.
Yeah, you end up hurting yourself. No?
I think the whole reason they do this is because they're just sick of listening to Harold Reynolds try to figure out what to say in between pitches.
Seems like a legitimate.
dude. Conspiracy theory. Get your tinfoil hats on. That's what it's all about. Is to shut
Exactly.
Harold Reynolds up.
It's like, can you please stop talking about Yadier Molina and how cool he is in between pitches, man?
Oh, I love it.
All right, so let's talk about let's talk about something really fun that Chad got to do that me and Ben are both insanely jealous that we didn't get to do because
Hate
we
you a little
don't
bit.
get to take off random days of work in the middle of the
I
week.
hate you a lot.
So, Chad, you were able to get a media pass to go cover the AT&T Pro-Am, like the pre-Pro-Am event, which is essentially the San Francisco 49ers, sorry, the Santa Clara 49ers versus the San Francisco Giants.
San Francisco's 49ers of Santa Clara,
Yes.
San Jose. Featuring
you
San
got
Jose.
to featuring the San Jose Sharks. You got to go and watch them. They compete against each other in kind of a fun little charity event before the actual Pro-Am begins, right? So it was like what, Wednesday or something?
It was Tuesday.
It's Tuesday. Yeah, so that's a whole week of the AT&T Pro-Am.
Yeah, exactly.
And you got up close and personal. Did you actually get interviews and stuff too, or were you just out there taking pictures?
No, I got a few interviews, and to be honest, they were just so quick and light. I didn't even post them. I got like Jerry Rice and Steve Young and a couple others, but it was more like, how many times have you golfed here? You know, I mean, it was kind of, I'm used to asking baseball questions, and it was just, I didn't expect that I was going to have this access necessarily, but I applied.
What do I do?
Yeah, hello. But no, they were gracious enough because I explained on it was a PGA application actually to request media passes, and it was well after the deadline.
It makes sense.
But in my
Sure.
remarks column, I just said, "Hey, look, I'm just looking for this one day. We're a Giants podcast. This is all we want to do." And so the lady emailed me back and said, "Well, I'm rejecting you in the formal system, but I am leaving a pass for you in my quote special box." And I was like, "Sweet,
Wow."
So I went down there and got my pass, and they said, "Hey, do you have a camera with you?" Well, yeah, I do. Well, go talk to the PGA guys. They'll give you a photo pass today. I was like, well, okay. Walked over there, explained who I was. They said, yeah, sure, we'll give you a photo pass. I'm like, what can I do and not do? They said, you can go under the ropes, under the fairway, but you got to be 1 arm's length by the rope, right?
Okay.
So it just gives you better shots.
just gives you like no obstruction.
Right. No,
You don't have like people and ropes in the way.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, cool. This is great. So I went down, and there was a media session on the putting green, and there were just hundreds of Giants and 49er fans wrapped around this putting green, and all the players that started to come out, and I just kind of walked up to the security guy and was like, is this work? And they're like, yeah, go ahead. Went in, and suddenly I'm literally talking to Steve Young and Jerry, and talked a little bit to Buster, and saw Cain again, and then after all that, we start walking up to the first tee, and I didn't know we were going to be allowed to go literally onto the first tee with the players. So I'm like, Javi Lopez is in front of me, Bochy's behind me, and like all the fans are on both sides going crazy and asking for autographs, and it was a very odd feeling. It was just like put my head down and like, all right, let's just go up here. I'm just going to pretend
Like, all right, I'm not supposed to be here, but I'm supposed to be here.
It felt like I was not supposed to be there, right? Went up there, and it was just a fantastic day. And then as we moved from hole to hole, and it's 5 holes, by the way. It's not obviously 18. It's a charity shootout.
Right.
We just moved with the players down the middle of the fairway. There was no restrictions on being by the ropes. I mean, it was fantastic. I was just like, hey, nice shot, Buster. Yeah, thanks. You know, I mean, it was a very surreal day, but I put a lot of those photos up on TortureCast. So check them out. It was just great. You know, go to the 18th hole, and they had a chip off, and I happened to be right behind where the officials put them to chip off. So I have some video of Buster and Cain and Jerry Rice and others.
It was a nice video of Buster doing the chip. Saw that.
Yeah, so it was just an incredible day, and it's something I definitely want to cover again next year, and maybe I'll be a little bit better prepared. But I had the nice camera with me, so I did get a lot of nice shots. So check it out, and maybe you guys can bring a camera next year, and we'll all be photographers.
Well, yeah, it sounds awesome. If I could plan far enough in advance, definitely. I mean, anybody who knows about stuff I do knows do the MGA stuff as well, and so I'm a golf fan, and
I know it's like
out
a
there
blend
at Pebble Beach,
of both of your passions there. You know.
Yeah, it's all
and
mixing
it
together.
was like 75 degrees.
That was a beautiful day, yeah.
You know, I had a couple drinks before, many more drinks after. This girl who was another media person, she does stuff for the Pac-12. Because, Jen Cosgriff was there too.
Oh, nice.
And so
right.
I hooked up with her and her friend who works at the Pac-12 network and her brother. And this girl, her parents own a house in the Monterey Peninsula community or country club, right on the 14th fairway of MPCC. So we went to her, what do you call it, like clubhouse or whatever. And she's like, order anything you want. we have to fill our dues. And we're like, well, this is expensive. And she's like, no, we've already paid for it. Order whatever you want. So we had a very nice night of drinks and
that sounds
food.
pretty special. Yeah. Well,
pretty good
sad
day.
that I missed out.
Pretty
But
good day.
next year I won't let that happen again. All right. So last
Probably will.
Yeah, you probably will. You missed 2 media days in a row now.
last couple things to talk about. Trophy tour has been going on, and Chad, you were able to actually get your photos with the trophies, correct?
Yeah, it was very convenient.
All
This
three?
year they came to Gilroy, so my hometown.
Oh wow! So you didn't have to travel. Okay.
5-minute drive from my house. And so I just showed up a little early. My family showed up right when it started. We went right in, took the picture. So now I have a picture with the single trophy with my daughter, both trophies with the family, and now the triplets with my family. So I got a nice little array in my office here. It's
Nice.
a
You
thing of
finally
beauty.
got more trophies than kids in the photo. They're doing something right.
That's the trophies are outnumbering my kids. That's a good
Quick, let's have another. So I actually did. I didn't get my chance to get the trophy picture yet, but I did go get the Dynasty Chronicle cover. The actual front page. I finally got that thing framed, so now I have that, and I can't actually find where to get the first one.
Ooh. I might be
Yeah.
able to help you out because I have all 3 framed now. I think you guys have seen that photo in my office.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing it.
I was looking for
2012
one
somewhere.
because I was like, now I need to finish this out. So I have all 3 like right next to each other, and apparently they don't. If you like go to the Chronicle website, they don't sell that first one anymore. And I'm like, why wouldn't you just make a bunch of money right now on the back of the fact that we just won a third one, and all the people are going, oh, I could get all 3, and that would be amazing. They could have made a fortune, I think, on that. But
Yeah, because I think the back orders are all like $15. It's like, what, for a newspaper? But you're like, whatever. Give me take my money.
you can get it's like a replica of it that's like in nice like matte paper, and it's a
gotcha.
little bit thicker.
Yeah.
But then if you want to go get a good frame job done by Cheap Pete's, that's like $120 too, just for the frame job. Where
The frame's expensive, man.
they do it all, like if they custom do it for you. I mean, you can just buy a frame and do it yourself, but if you have them do it for you, where they can get a whatever color you want, so there's like some orange going around, and then a nice frame job, and everything's like all perfect in there.
Yeah.
That was like $100 too, so it was not cheap, but it's something I'll have for the rest of my life, hopefully. So
It looks beautiful. All I can say.
and I just need to have all 3 next to each other. So get your trophy stuff, man. I mean, this may never happen again, you guys. Anybody
And-
listening to the show?
Look, I'm assuming it's going to be available at AT&T Park throughout parts of the year, like in the 2.
Oh yeah, to get the pictures with the trophies and all that.
The
Yeah.
two were.
I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure. So,
I would hope so.
2 years ago, I did the thing where I actually went to Cain BR because I still have like contacts there and stuff. But
right.
this year, I'm a little bit too far removed, I guess. Now,
Sure.
I'll have to weasel my way back into that one too.
Few too many degrees of separation.
Yeah, it's been a while now since I've been over there. All right, well, I think that's going to wrap it up. There's nothing left to talk about. Spring training starts on the 3rd. You get the first game that we get to actually view against the A's. Everyone remember to check that out. A lot of fun to get back and doing the show, and hopefully these will be probably every other week still through the rest of the spring training schedule. And
A
then
couple
we'll
of
do another live episode, I hope, with some special guests again before the season actually starts. So look for that at the end of March, right before the season actually opens, which is, oh my God, not that far away, you guys.
That's kind of close, you guys.
It's pretty exciting.
Damn,
Kind of going to be here.
Opening day is what, the 6th of April?
I think
believe?
it's the 6th.
Yeah, seems late,
It's the
doesn't it?
6th.
It's been like the 1st and stuff for a while, but
Yep. So I have to announce I'm actually going to be out of town almost that entire first month of baseball, and it's
wow.
bugging me.
wow.
Yep.
Okay. Well, you were a traveling man, Ben, so.
Oh, Ben, were you going to
That's
spring
true.
training this year?
This is the big one. Yes, I am going to make it for a couple of days, right around the same time that Jen's there. So hopefully we'll put a segment together for the show or something.
Awesome. Yeah, get something recorded and we'll post it up.
See what we can do.
Get that
We'll see
going.
if we can get some
couple of
access
people
for a
might be
day or
around.
two. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that'd be good.
Yeah, we'll try and figure that one out. But it'll be fun regardless, and I'm definitely going to be talking about just the experience because I haven't done spring training before. Now, many of our listeners have, so I won't go into it in huge detail, but just this year, how this year probably is going to be a little different because, I mean, 3 and 5, man. You don't get to reflect on how things work after 3 and 5 very often.
No.
So this is going to be a fun one.
Yeah, absolutely. So look forward to that, everybody. make sure to tune in every other week, and then every week once the season starts. We're missing Eric tonight, but he just kind of went through a move and stuff, so we're letting him kind of handle that. But he should be back soon, and I'll be talking to him, and hopefully Allie and Jen and everybody will become part of the bonus sods again too once the season starts, and I'm really looking forward to that and seeing you guys at the games. So that's going to do it for episode 80 of the TortureCast. Check us out, torturecast.com. You've also got the Facebook, you got the Twitter at TortureCast. You can follow each one of us individually. I am at Willie Dills. Chad is at ChadK21, and Ben is at Fried Duck. And Eric is at 2OutHits. So check him out there as well. And we'll be back for episode 81 in a couple weeks. Until then, I keep wanting to say job's done because I just do that other show.
Job's done.
Yeah, we'll see you next time.
Tastingo.
That's a pretty good Tastingo, right?
That was really good,
Thank you. I am not sorry about throwing that in at the end at all.
A big thank you to everybody for listening to the TortureCast, the podcast by and for fans of the San Francisco Giants. Follow us on Twitter at TortureCast. You can also like us on Facebook or check out our blog at torturecast.com. I also want to say thank you to Ashcon and Bailey for letting us use their song Feeling Like a Giant for our intro. For Ben Lee and Chad King, my name is Willie Dills saying, we'll see you next time.